Hey, this is SJ. I'm gonna read this disclaimer right quick. Copyright disclaimer under 107 Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that may otherwise be infringing. I wanted to talk about the young lady, whose name is Latasha Daniels. Anywho, I'm going to read this AI overview. A woman named Latasha Daniels was recently found guilty of 2019 killing of Memphis pastor Broads Perry. The verdict was delivered by the jury on Friday, November 7th, 2025. Daniels was convicted of second-degree murder and reckless endangerment, but was found not guilty of the initial charges of first-degree murder, as the prosecution did not meet the burden of proof for premeditation. Incident: Latasha Daniels, who was having an affair with the married pastor, drove from her home in Arkansas to the Perry's Collinville, Tennessee apartment in April 2019 and shot both Broads Perry and his wife Tabitha, who survived her injuries, thank God. Motive defense: the prosecution argued Daniels intentionally planned the killing. The defense argued she was emotionally distressed and acted in the heat of passion, having been manipulated by Perry, who she claimed had promised they would tell his wife about the affair. She yelled, "You broke my heart."
Hope you enjoyed lunch. We're ready to go forward to closing arguments. Stay. You broke my heart. I felt used. He broke up with me in a disappearing text message. Who does that to someone that they love? I wanted him to feel the pain that I felt. These are the words of the defendant, Latasha Daniels. And earlier this week, we told you that you would hear a lot of testimony. You would see some pictures, you would see some videos, but most importantly, we wanted you to pay attention. And a key part of paying attention is not getting distracted, not getting confused as to who the victim is. The victims in this case are Mr. and Mrs. Perry, not the defendant. The decisions that she made caused them to be victims. And once we're finished here today, you'll see that this case really isn't that complicated. It's kind of easy. She's charged with 3 counts: first-degree murder, firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony. First-degree murder, and you'll see this in your jury instructions, is defined as a premeditated killing of another. 1, the state has to prove that the defendant unlawfully killed a victim. 2, the defendant must have acted intentionally. 3, the killing must be premeditated. So, what is considered unlawful? Well, what is considered a lawful killing? One example can be the defense of others or yourself. Testified for more defendants than she has prosecution. And ladies and gentlemen, think carefully about what she told you. She told you that depression and someone being suicidal does not mean that they cannot form the intent to kill someone. She also told you that she didn't even offer an opinion as to the defendant's mental state at the time of the offense. So what do we need? We need an unlawful killing, intent, premeditation, unlawful killing. Well, there was no self-defense claim, and the only other firearm found in the residence, found in the crime scene, was in a box under a nightstand in a completely separate room.
Mm.
Intent. I wanted him to feel the pain that I felt. He broke my heart. You heard that from the defendant herself. Premeditation. We'll take your pick. Whether it's the drive to the gun store, the time it took to purchase, choose a firearm and ammunition, the time it took to drive 3 hours to Memphis to her ex-boyfriend's house, or the 20-minute conversation she had when she finally went up to their apartment.
What y'all think?
Criminal attempt first-degree murder. So in your jury instructions, you'll see what's on the screen right here. And that's a lot of words. But the judge is giving you the law. And the best way that I can describe it is that the defendant must have an intent to commit first-degree murder. But they fell short for some reason. The act wasn't complete. And that's how you have criminal...
So in other words, they're saying that she was trying to argue that it was premeditated because she wouldn't purchase the gun. She drove all the way from one state to another and had the gun. They're trying to prove that it was premeditated, but for some reason they couldn't prove that it was premeditated. I think this is an interesting case.
First-degree murder. We heard from Tabitha Perry, and she testified that she was shot in the shoulder. After the incident, she was transported to the hospital, and the doctors left the bullet inside of her. It wasn't until later that she had to get it surgically removed. It was causing her extreme pain, and by the time that she got it removed, it was poking out of her back.
Oh, God.
And even today, 6 years later, she is still suffering from pain from that incident. Now let's talk about transfer of intent. You heard in your jury instructions that sometimes when you intend to kill one person and you don't kill that person, but you kill another person, that is how the transfer intent happens. Tabitha Perry testified that when she spoke to police, she told them that she didn't even believe that the defendant meant to hurt her. But that's okay. Because you don't have to actually hit your intended target to be charged and convicted of criminal attempt first-degree murder. As long as you had the intent to kill one person, it doesn't matter that you accidentally shot or you actually shot someone else.
So that's that on that.
Is still there. Latasha appears to be a professional, educated, well-rounded woman. She's a licensed clinical social worker and went into a profession to help people. Church member, active in the church, a life group leader, selected among the thousands of people in the church, and placed into a position of leadership by Brodus Perry. Did you notice in the one video, he said, "What I typically do is engage with women from a position of familiarity." He knew how to attract the type of woman that he was looking for. And Latasha...
So now her lawyer's trying to argue that she's trying to prove the case that the pastor manipulated her. He manipulated her and was stringing her along and leading her on. That's what she's trying to prove.
And you got to see all of the details that make her up. She was exactly what he was looking for. She was so vulnerable because of the happiness being completely drained from her marriage, from the total lack of any emotional connection with her husband of 8 years. The traumatic history that she has had since a childhood, and always being told to keep a good face on.
No excuse.
Her history of mental health. depression, suicidal ideations, suicidal attempts.
Mm.
Her dependency on other people. He knew that when he got his claws in her, she would do anything to keep him with her, including keeping his secrets. He also knew that Latasha would have to keep his secrets because she had just as much to lose as he did. He had to have someone who was in a good job, with a good appearance, because if they found out about this affair with the pastor, she would lose everything. All of her clients, the life that she had built up in the church, her family's opinion, all of it would be gone. And he reminded her of that. From far away, their relationship, it wasn't affair. It was absolutely wrong. And it was neither of them took Tabitha's feelings into consideration. Neither of them. And they should have. Tabitha did not deserve that. But especially at the beginning, if you looked at that relationship more closely, there was a lot of love there. Latasha built her life around this man.
Big mistake.
He liked bourbon, so she started learning bourbon. He liked cigars, so she started learning about cigars. She got him into running with her. They joined a biking club together. All of these things that they built. And this woman who came into this relationship so starved.
You ain't got no relationship with a married man. You the side piece.
Was receiving it, finally. And she never wanted that to stop. But when you looked at it more closely, you could also see Rhoda's behaving in a very controlling way, in a very manipulative way. And Latasha was getting slung back and forth between these emotions of, oh, I love you. No, we're going to have some distance. This back and forth, back and forth. Pulling her heart in two pieces. And I will disagree with the state, because part of something that they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt is intent. And one of the things that you have to look at is whether a heat of passion was present. And a broken heart definitely has to do with heat of passion. There is no emotion more powerful in this world than love.
Let me pause it there for a minute. They claiming that it was what they call a crime of passion, that she, because she was in this intense affair with this pastor, and her lawyer's trying to prove that he was stringing her along, and just going back and forth with her. I can relate to that. But I was looking at the comment section of a lot of videos I've been watching on this, and a lot of people were saying, and I can agree myself, that, a lot of people were saying, I've gotten my heart broken before. I've never taken nobody out. Same, I have to agree with that. Just because somebody breaks your heart don't mean you have to take them out. But they said she was dealing with mental health issues. What my thought is she didn't have no business messing with a married man in the first place. This guy is supposed to be a pastor.
With several gunshot wounds and his wife Tabitha shot in the left shoulder.
The rumors swelling around his murder leave us shocked and shaken.
According to the police affidavit, Tabitha let former acquaintance Latasha Daniels into the apartment. Once Perry arrived home, he and Daniels spoke for several minutes. As she was leaving, she pulled out a handgun and began shooting, hitting Perry 5 times and telling him, quote, "You broke my heart." Police arrived as Daniels was reloading her gun. Police shot Daniels and she was taken to the hospital for her injuries, where she attempted to get away from police. She faces charges of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, resisting arrest, and assaulting a police officer. She has pleaded not guilty. As far as the motive, reports say that Tabitha, the wife, told police she was unaware of an affair between her husband and the suspect, but she believed Daniels' actions suggested it's a possibility.
That was Julia Janae reporting there. So while we're waiting for court to start up, we've got surviving victim Tabitha. She's the pastor's wife. Took the stand on Tuesday, and on cross, she was questioned whether her husband wanted to ever bring in another person into their relationship. There were some videos of the pastor that were played for the jury, and in these videos, he's talking about ethical non-monogamy. What is that? Let's watch.
Yeah, this fool.
Where I want to expand this ethical non-monogamy, and I'm just, your opinion matters to me because we were in this relationship, but at the same time, like I told us,
What the heck is that?
I want to be respectful.
I ain't never heard nothing like that in my life.
Your opinion matters, but at the same time, I don't want you to put me in a box, right? Because while we talk about it in theory, this is now the practice part. And with Tab being perfectly fine with, the situation, because how I've handled and been honest and transparent and open with her with regard to this current relationship, me expanding it is not an issue for me, basically.
He paused there. So, from according to this, it sounds like he was trying to. It sounded like he was trying to get his wife to agree. He wanted to try to get his wife to agree to bringing in another person, to bringing her into the marriage. He was on some freaky ditty stuff going on there. And that's what they called broke my heart a murder trial. That this pastor strung her along. And I was looking at some of her testimony, and it's deep. Some of the things she said he did to her in the testimony. What do you guys think about this case? I just thought this case was really interesting. I was looking at some of her testimony, and it's deep. She said she claimed that she didn't have the intentions. They couldn't get her on premeditation, and I thought that was weird because she drove from her state to another state with the gun, and she went into the house with the gun. But then she turns around and says that she had no intentions of hurting anybody. Make it make sense. You drove all the way down there with the gun. You went in the house with the gun, but you had no intentions of. They couldn't get her on premeditation. I don't know how she was able to slide on that. Because she purchased the gun. She had the gun in the car, drove the car down to their house, which is in another state. Had the gun in her pocket when she went in the house. But she claims that she had no intentions of hurting anybody. Make it make sense. But they couldn't get her on they couldn't prove premeditation. What do you guys think of that? And this guy was supposed to be a pastor. The wife says she wasn't aware of. Do you guys believe that? Do you believe that his wife knew? How could she not be aware? He having a full-fledged affair with this woman. Not just somebody he just sleeping around with, but sounds like he was having a full-fledged affair with this woman. Where she got emotionally invested. How could the wife not know that he was having this affair? Do you guys believe that? Do you guys believe that the wife didn't know that he was having an affair? Boy, this guy was a really good actor. He was a really good actor. He really put on his Academy Award winning performance. I'm really glad that the wife survived. I'm really glad that the wife survived and she didn't have to die because of their mess. Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this? I thought this case was very interesting. Um, this man was supposed to be a pastor. Make it make sense.
Affair between her husband and the suspect, but she believed Daniels' actions suggested it's a possibility.
Did you ever have that conversation that he talks about with Latasha?
No.
Did you ever have that conversation that he talks about with him?
No.
Did you ever give him the XYZ that he was talking about?
No.
Did you ever give him a pass for Latasha?
No.
Did he ever talk to you about further expanding ethical monogamy in your relationship?
No.
No. You know, like, when do you want to know that there's someone who has my interest or someone who I would like to...
Oh, he's a piece of trash. He was a piece of trash.
That I feel like it's more than just banter. Do you want to know at the moment that I would like to begin to banter? Do you want to know once I feel like it might be a thing beyond banter? Or what? You know, because this is kind of new for us.
You guys ever heard of that? Ethical non-monogamy. What in the world is that? I'm going to have to Google that. Have y'all ever heard of that? Ethical monogamy. I'm 58 years old and I ain't never heard of that in my whole entire 58 years on this planet. I've never heard of, this is my first time hearing of ethical non-monogamy. What in the, you see what the lady said? The lady said, what is that? I'm going to have to Google that. Is that something he just made up? Did he just make that up? To justify his reasonings, because he's a pastor, to justify his reasonings for messing with this lady? Ooh, these men are something else, ain't they? These men are a piece of work. They is a piece of work. He didn't create a term. He didn't mess around and created a term to justify his affair with this woman. And she is a therapist. Plot twist. She's a therapist. She was a licensed therapist. Make it make sense. And my thought is, what in the world was she doing messing around with a pastor? A married pastor. Ladies, this is a cautionary tale. This is a cautionary tale for men. It's a cautionary tale for women. It's a cautionary tale for men. Cautionary tale for women. Do not get involved with a married man. Married men are liars. They are liars. Married men are liars. Lying is second nature to them. They're liars. They're fooling around on their wife. They're screwing around on their wife. They're liars. Don't believe anything that comes out of a married man's mouth. They're liars. Do not get involved. I would not recommend anybody getting involved with a married man. This is definitely a cautionary tale. And definitely don't let yourself fall in love with one. And men, it's a cautionary tale for men. The cautionary tale for men is do not be playing around with a woman's heart. Men, the problem with men is they have a tendency to underestimate women. Men underestimate women's power. Never underestimate the power of a woman. Never. That the men make that big mistake. They make the big mistake of underestimating a woman's power. Never underestimate the power of a woman. Don't never do that, because that's where they messed up. He thought that he could just keep playing around with her heart, keep telling lies and playing around with her. And, I'm not justifying, I'm not saying what she did was right. No, she didn't. That was wrong for her to do that. But he just kept playing around, stringing her along, lying to her, and then it caused her to snap. And the poor wife had to thank God she survived. But, she was caught in the crossfire of that because of his mess, because of his junk. And this man was supposed to be a pastor in the church. They played a little clip from the church. The church didn't even know this. He was involved in this affair. They didn't even know what was going on. I think churches need to do a better job of vetting their pastors. Churches need to do a better job of vetting their personnel. They need to do a better job, because he was a straight up hypocrite. This is definitely a cautionary tale. Men are not to play with women's hearts. You don't play when a woman's now has theory that like a woman scorn. How they say it? You don't play around with a woman's heart. And he had no business messing with her, and he was a married man. And go come up with his own term. Came up with his own term. Ethical non-monogamy. Who ever heard of such a thing? This is definitely a cautionary tale. But I think she only got like 10 years. She already did a few years in jail. But hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on this case. I thought this case was real interesting. She did this back in 2019, and she just got convicted. Boy, that's a long time. But it called it Broke My Heart Murder Trial. So, just because a man breaks your heart, you don't have to unalive him. Plenty of us women have gotten our hearts broken. The men are still walking around here. Best thing she could have did was walk away from that situation and chalk it up as a learning experience. But she was dealing with some mental health issues, and it just sounds like he just really took advantage of her. She said she initially came to him for therapy. She didn't she came to him for counseling. She didn't come to him to have an affair. So it just, men play on women's vulnerabilities. Some of these men, they like to play on women's vulnerabilities. And it just seems like he's seen some weaknesses in her. And so he decided to play on those weaknesses. That's what it seems like. I mean, I don't understand, by her being a licensed therapist, I don't understand how she catch on to all that. But I guess if she was having some mental health issues, that might have thrown her off. It's a case of the therapist needing a therapist. So this whole case is really, really something. But hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. What are your thoughts on this? Are you shocked that this man was a pastor and was messing around on his wife? Do you believe the wife didn't know anything about this affair? Do you think that she is getting enough time? Do you think she should get more time or less? I think she only got like 10 years. Do you think she should have got more time or less time? She thinks she already served 4 years in jail. Let me know. Hit me up. Do you think that he deserved what he got? I gotta ask that question. Let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section. Hit that like and that share. Until the next video, you guys be blessed.